we've had to switch microphones out here. It's fantastic. And this other engineer came out here, a whole new set of microphones, condensers, prices wired in here. Those like they dropped from outer space. The place is just surrounded with electronic equipment. We have 4 microphones, stands, amplifiers, speakers, and wires all over the whole thing is like a body to kind of bring back to life, like a Frankenstein monster. It's incredible. Yeah, they let you about 15 minutes ago. We're afraid they're going to come back and bring more of this stuff. Okay. Bye-bye.
I woke up before Pauline and put on my overalls. I went up to my cabin. I could hear the ocean below banging against the rocks.
Well, how random is random?
Well, let's put it like this. I was in a pub in Charlotte Street, of all places, in Salem, and a mate of mine had read Nova Express. This was 64, 65. Was talking about this. You must buy this book, and started to try and explain to me his interpretation of cut-up and fold-in techniques, which he probably got wrong. And I couldn't remember the name of the book when I got outside, and then an Express Dairy van from the Express Dairies came by, and I thought, oh, Express, Nova Express. And I thought, that's what he's trying to tell us. Random is...
A crack of gray sun shone through the window and lay quietly on the floor.
There are, of course, many ways in which cut-ups can be done. One very simple way that I've used to reproduce is take a page, cut it down the middle, and across the page, so you now have 4 sections, and you rearrange the sections in a different order. And when this happens, of course, you get new word combos. You also get new words created by
past the garden. It was covered with fish nets to keep the birds off. I went over and put my foot in it, and then my foot was gray. I looked out the window and across the fields and piney woods and the town to the forgotten works.
Listen to my last words anywhere. Listen, all of you boards, government, syndicates, nations of the world. Every hours behind what Bill Beale consummated in what laboratory. To think what is not yours, to sell out your sons forever.
As usual, I stumbled over the motorcycle that was beside my bed. The motorcycle was one of Lee Mellon's pets. Everything was touched with gray. Cattle grazing in the fields, and the roofs of the shacks, and the big piles in the forgotten works, all looked like dust.
Now these experiments started not on tape recorders, but on paper. In 1959, Brian Geisen said that writing is 50 years behind painting, and applied the montage technique to words on a page.
Lying there in about 45 parts. A couple of times every week, Lee Mellon would say, I think I'll put my motorcycle together. It's $400 motorcycle. He always said that it was a $400 motorcycle, but nothing ever came of it. The very air itself was gray. We have an interesting thing with the sun here. It shines a different color every day. No one knows why this is. We grow the watermelons in different colors, the best we can. I lit the lantern and was enclosed within the glass walls of the cabin. My place was furnished like all the other cabins down there. I did not have a table, any chairs, or a bed.
That occurred because I had a number of sheets of newspapers, some British newspapers, the American newspaper published in Paris, and some other things that happened to be lying on my desk, and I took a Stanley blade and cut through them, and these little bits and pieces looked so amusing to me that I started jiggling them around as one would in a collage.
I slept on the floor in a sleeping bag and used 2 white rocks for bookends. I used the engine block of the motorcycle to set the lantern on so I could raise the light to make reading a little more comfortable. This is how we do it. Seeds gathered from a gray watermelon, picked on a gray day, and then planted on a gray day will make more gray watermelons. The cabin had a very crude wood stove. Lee Mellon's creation that could... It is really very simple. The colors of the days and the watermelons go like this. Waters. A summary of my little columns would go something like this. The red watermelons. Tuesday, golden watermelons. Wednesday, gray watermelons.
And this technique had already been used in painting at that time for 50 years. It was in fact kind of old hat in paint. Brian copied out phrases from newspapers and magazines, then took his scissors and cut these selections into pieces and rearranged the fragments at random.
Thursday, black soundless watermelons. Friday, white watermelons. Saturday, blue watermelons. The first chapter of Ecclesiastes has 57 punctuation marks. They're broken down into 22 commas, 8 semicolons, 8 colons, 2 question marks, and 17 periods. Sunday, brown watermelons. Today would be a day of gray watermelons. The creek was made narrow by little green trees that grew too close together. The second chapter of Ecclesiastes has 103 punctuation marks. I like best tomorrow, the black soundless watermelon days. When you cut them, they make no noise and taste very sweet. The creek was like 12,845 telephone booths in a row with high Victorian ceilings and all the doors taken off and all the backs of the booths knocked out. Sometimes when I went fishing in there, I felt just like a telephone repairman, even though I did not look like one. They are very good for making things that have no sound.
And these cut-up experiments appeared in Minutes to Go in 1959. When you experiment with cut-ups over a period of time, you find that some of the cut-ups and rearranged text seem to refer to future events.
I remember there was a man who used to make clocks from the black soundless watermelons, and his clocks were silent.
I cut up an article written by John Paul Getty, and got, "It's a bad thing to sue your own father." This was a rearrangement. It wasn't in the original text.
are broken down into 45 commas, 12 semicolons, 15 colons, 6 question marks, and 25 periods. The third chapter of Ecclesiastes has 77 punctuation marks. The man made 6 or 7 of these clocks, and then he died.
A year later, one of his sons did sue him. We had no explanation for this at the time, it just suggesting that perhaps when you cut into the present, the future leaks out.
There is one of the clocks hanging over his grave. It is hanging from the branches of an apple tree and sways in the winds that go up and down the river. It does not keep time anymore. Pauline woke up while I was putting my shoes on. They are broken down into 33 commas, 21 semicolons, 8 colons, 3 question marks, and 12 periods. The fourth chapter of Ecclesiastes has 58 punctuation marks, and they are broken down into 25 commas, 9 semicolons, 5 colons, 2 question marks, and 17 periods. "Hello," she said, rubbing her eyes. "You're up. I wonder what time it is."
But we simply accepted it and continued the experiment. The next step was cut-ups on the tape recorder, and Brian was the first to take this obvious step.
The fifth chapter of Ecclesiastes has 67 punctuation marks. "It's about 6. I had to cook breakfast this morning at IDIP," she said. "Come over here and give me a kiss." And then they are broken down into 25 commas, 7 semicolons, 15 colons, 3 question marks, and 17 periods. And this is what I was doing by lantern light at Big Sur, and I gained a pleasure and an appreciation by doing this. Personally, I think the Bible gains by reading it with a lantern. I do not think the Bible has ever truly adjusted to electricity.
This was simply a process of applying the montage method, which was really rather old hat in painting at that time. Until writing, as Brian said, writing is 50 years behind painting. Every particle of this universe contains the whole of the universe. You and yourself have the whole of the universe. I cut you up in a certain way. I cut up the universe.
What you would like for breakfast? By lantern light, the Bible shows its best. I counted the punctuation marks in Ecclesiastes very carefully so as not to make a mistake, and then I blew the lantern out.